Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
I'm going to call on the Nigerian Director General, if they are in the room now, to respond and hopefully flag some opportunities that might exist in that market before we come to a final close. They've just hosted a Pan-African meeting of the finance and the investment community, and it'll be really good to learn directly from you about that and make the connection, because we heard about what's happening on the continent, and we are the institutional side, but we're very keen to hear your views. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here and to hear what's happening, really. I'm sure you're expecting somebody different. I could see the faces in the room like, oh my goodness, is she the one? Yeah, she's the one. So my name is Dr. Nkiruka Maduekwe, and I'm the Director General, Chief Executive Officer of the National Council on Climate Change Secretariat. I have the honor to drive Nigeria's NDC review, a big shoe, but we're doing that very well. I have in the room with me the Ministry of Finance, who are very key to this conversation, and I want to thank them for being here, representing the Minister of Finance, actually, so the team is there. I also want to thank the NDC partnership for the support they've been giving Nigeria from 2000, when we had the first NDC, 2021, and now we're also doing the current review of our NDCs. They've been very supportive as to what Nigeria is doing and where Nigeria has to be. Sitting down in the room, listening to what everybody's saying, and of course that's so what it is we're doing in terms of how do you bridge the gap between public finance, private finance, and then donor financing, because for us we are going beyond what you call tokenism. Okay, how do you ensure sustainability of what it is we're doing? And to hear you, Madam, speak about, and the Madam as well, speak about green industrialization. For us in Nigeria, the next phase is, of course, the green industrialization, value chain localization. We have what is called the Evergreen Project, where we are saying, okay, we're not going to move raw materials. We want to be able to manufacture them here in Nigeria, renewable energy solutions. And so we've been able to acquire land. Thank you so much, ma'am. We've been able to acquire 5,000 hectares of land, and we actually have an anchor tenant Solage, and we're also looking for more people to invest in that. So if you are aware, as much as we're talking about renewable energy, but it's very expensive, okay? And for us, how do you, and the whole process of importing that very expensive solution, we want to cut that short and then produce that in Nigeria. We're talking about how do you get investors, right, interested in what it is we're doing with our NDC priorities. Nigeria is one of the three very lucky countries that has been nominated for the pilot program for the navigator that you talked about. And we had the first meeting in Lagos, and where for the very first time you're talking to private sector, and they're very much interested in how do we jump into these NDCs? What exactly is the NDCs, and where do we function in the NDCs? One of the things that showed us was that there has been a gap in communications between the public and the private as to regards of what the NDCs are, and how important it is for us to get private sector engagement in financing the NDCs. For us in Nigeria, very key is that we're a fossil fuel dependent country. We're also a fossil fuel producing country. And a lot of the conversation is leave the oil in the ground. But leaving the oil in the ground also brings about stranded assets, stranded risks, right? How do we transition? And I love what someone said here in the panel. How do we transition from that point of the fossil fuel to where we want to be renewable energy? We're talking about technologies. Now, how can we get people, private sector, to invest in carbon capture, utilization, storage? That for us is one of the things we'll be looking at. Of course, for us is clean cooking. Again, for us is nature-based solutions, financing that, and health. Because if you're aware, one of the conversations we're going to have at COP29 is bringing in the health sector in NDCs. And there's a lot of investment opportunities in the nexus between climate resilient health solutions. And I'm asking, think about that, private sector. Article 6, carbon credits. For us in Nigeria, again, we're moving away from depending on fossil fuel revenue to non-oil revenue. And the carbon market presents that huge opportunity for us. And so we're asking for investors to please think about that as well. One of the things we've also seen, and I think someone touched about it here, is the capacity with the project fund, the project developers with regards to carbon projects. So there's this excitement of, oh yes, money, yes, but what exactly is a carbon project? What does it mean? How do you finance it? Bankable projects. And so that's one of the things the checklist is also going to do, which is bridging the gap between that and building the capacity for that. So there's a lot of, I would say there's a lot of opportunity for the private sector to come in. And one of the things someone said to me, I was talking to the Chambers of Commerce. I had the opportunity to do that in Nigeria. And they said, we have a lot of money, but we don't know what to do with it. I told them, come and invest in my NDCs, so to speak, our NDCs. So going forward, what are we doing as a country? One of the things we're doing is, because Article 6 is also very important, is that thanks to the UNDP supporting us and also the NDC partnership supporting us, we're doing a training, capacity building for women, youth, and private sector. Very important. Private sector on Article 6, what does it mean and where can they come in? So thank you everybody for the opportunity and God bless.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.